Welcome to Give Me Hope with Johanna, a place where real stories meet real hope. I'm your host, Johanna Vendel, a published author, speaker, and the CEO and founder of the prestigious International Hope Book Awards. On this podcast, we share powerful stories of faith, resilience, and transformation, conversations with authors, survivors, and changemakers who turned life's hardest moments into purpose. If you're searching for encouragement, healing, or a reminder that your story still matters, then you're in the right place. Press that subscribe button now and don't miss a story. So now, let's welcome your host, Johanna Vendel.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Hope with Johanna, another inspirational episode that we are going to have today. I was so excited when I found out who I was going to speak to today. First, I want to introduce myself also as the CEO and founder of the prestigious International Hope Book Awards. I'm still new, but we are going to go a distance with this and with my story, with everybody else's story that we will carry through, and we will elevate their stories, put it on our platforms, and get their story to be heard. I am speaking to my very first President Choice Award winner from the prestigious International Hope Book Awards. He won an award for his book, The Million Stages of Grief. It's a book that touched my heart in places where I know how it feels when you lose someone. Let's not wait longer. I am speaking to Michael Reed, author of The Million Stages of Grief. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I am very good, thank you. Thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us who is Michael?
Sure. My name is Michael Reed. I'm from East Tennessee. And on November 28th, 2016, my life changed forever. There was a wildfire that destroyed big portions of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I lost my wife and both of my daughters that night.
I'm very
My
sorry
wife was
about
34. My daughter Chloe was 12, and my youngest Lily was 9.
Have a son?
Yeah. He was 15 that night. We weren't home when the fires hit. We drove through the wildfire to get to our house to save him. And we didn't know any of this at the time, but there was no warning about the fire, no notice, no evacuation, nothing. People were calling 911 and they were being told, everything's fine, stay home. Nobody knew. And
I was wondering about that, how it happened, because that was the year that we came into America. We immigrated, and that's the year that we arrived in America. But do you want to maybe tell me, how did your morning start? If you want to take us through that. And
it was a normal day. My wife had therapy that morning, so we went to therapy. Um, and she had her appointment. We had lunch together. Um, Everything was normal.
I would. Yes, it is definitely not something one really wants to talk about, hey, of how they passed away. And it's already horrific just to hear about it. And what I have personally read in your book as well, because after some of my judges reads the books, I personally like to read the books as well, because if I honor someone for their story, I really want to know what the story is about, because I'm all about listening to people's stories, because I have personally also lost my entire family of 6 members, my mom, my dad, my 3 sisters, and my brother before I was 46 years of age. And I know the feeling of losing your family members that is so close to you, and reading your story and the way you described everything that happened. You did it so beautifully, the way you remembered them. Tell us a little bit about your wife, what you remember, and your daughters, if you don't mind.
2016, there was a wildfire that escaped the Smoky Mountains National Park, and I lost my wife and both of my daughters, as well as my home, our pets, our possessions. Um, the fire was burning, I believe, a football field a minute. Our entire neighborhood was gone in 8 minutes. Um, my son and I weren't home when the fires hit, and we drove through the fire to get to our house. And uh, by the time we got there, it was too late. They were found 6 days later in another home. Um, when you go through something that is that traumatic, something happens to your brain, and my journey since then, and the reason that I've written the book, and the reason that I've kind of exposed my hurt to the world, is because the way that we've been taught to grieve our whole lives is wrong, in my opinion. Um, we're all taught that there's 5 stages of grief,
Mm.
but those 5 stages of grief were created based on people that knew they were passing away. When Ross came up with the 5 stages of grief, she was asking people that were terminally ill, "What do you feel? What feelings are you feeling?" And of course, you would go with denial and bargaining and depression and anger and acceptance. All of that makes sense. But when you lose somebody, it's not 5 stages of grief; it's a million. And one day you could feel this, and one day you could feel that, and then on the same day you could feel 100 different things. So that's where the concept came from. Um, but it was probably about 5 years ago. I woke up after a nightmare, and I was shaking. I was covered in sweat.
Mm.
Um, and I just sat down with my phone and kind of wrote down what I was feeling, just to kind of get it out. And I posted it on my Facebook page. And the responses I got were just amazing. I lost my mom 15 years ago, and what I just read is exactly how I felt. Thank you so much for writing this.
Yeah.
I lost my cousin 6 months ago, and you described what I was feeling perfectly. I never expected it to go anywhere. I really didn't. I was more pouring those words out for me to get it out of my head than I was to help other people.
Yeah. And then at that
But
time, you didn't feel so lonely, because loneliness is the worst.
I got comfortable in the loneliness. Um, and that's where the million stages of grief started. Um, we don't talk about grief. When we do talk about it, it's filtered.
Mm. I agree
Grief
with
just
you there.
isn't grief isn't just losing somebody. Grief can be a job loss. It can be a divorce. It can
Oh,
be
yes.
losing a pet. It can be losing a job. It can be anything. And as I would write these little things and post them on my Facebook page, I would get comments from people that said, "I can never understand your loss, but I'm praying for you." And it was like a light bulb went off. You're wrong. If the most grief you have experienced in your life is losing your pet when you were a child, the tears that you shed for that pet are the same tears that I shed for my girls today. It is the same. The hurt is the same. The sadness is the same. The tears are the same. So if I can use my hurt to help you understand yours, you now have the power to help somebody else with theirs.
Mm.
And before you know it, we've changed the world. And
Definitely.
that's why I wrote the book. So the book is
Definitely.
broken up into two sections per chapter. Um, the first half of each chapter is one of the things that I wrote over the last few years when I would wake up in the middle of the night and be afraid, and when I would get up at in the morning and just I'm already crying before my feet get out of the bed. Um,
Mm.
and it's raw and it's real and it's heavy and it's hard to read because it has to be.
Mm.
Grief isn't fun.
It's definitely not. And people do need to read this, the way that you described your book, and you said different chapters, every section, different sections. Um, you really have the most amazing layout, and all the explanations that you give after every single experience that you felt, and how you helped yourself to get over that, or at least get through that. It was very powerful. It is definitely a book that people should just go read. And maybe you see yourself and your own situation in there, and then you read how you have overcome this. And then
For
people
me,
can take that and then they can use that in their own lives, because I was so, so touched by your book. And I really have gone through a lot of things that you've gone through, and a few things that I learned from you. So we do need to read other people's stories. It matters.
what changed for me was in 2023. Um, I had fought medication for a long time. I had fought going to therapy for a long time. Um, but every November since the fires, I crash. Um, and with the PTSD that I have, there's things that trigger me that
Mm,
send me into a tailspin. And I've been able to manage it today to where there's really only three things that really affect my PTSD now, and that's fog, um, wind, and when the leaves fall from the trees during autumn. Um, those are the three biggest things that trigger me. So
mm,
in November of 2023, Uh, the anniversary of the fires is coming. I'm already a sad mess. The leaves are falling all over the place, and I ended up in the hospital. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I really thought this is it. Um, but it's okay because
Mm.
if this is it, I'm gonna be with them soon. And they hooked me up to every machine, and I laid there for a couple of hours, and the doctor comes in, and I'll never ever forget. He sat next to me on the bed. He held my hand, and he said, "Your heart's fine." And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. My heart's fine, but it's broken. That was about a week before the anniversary of the fires. Um, so on the anniversary of the fires in 2023, I went to the memorial and um, I always bring them flowers and I always buy them a little gift. And I sat there and had a really long talk with them. And I said, I cannot let a date on the calendar destroy me every year like it has so far because
Mm.
I'm just spinning in circles. I have to make this date mean something different. And I swear to you, I heard my daughter Chloe say to me, Daddy, it's time to do the work.
Wow.
And and instantly I knew exactly what she meant. So I came home and I enrolled in college that day. How can I ever help somebody else with their grief if I don't understand my own yet?
Yeah, that is so true. It
So
takes
the
a
second
while to
half of
understand
each
it.
chapter, yeah, so the second half of each chapter is what I've learned in college. It's what I've learned in my own therapy. It's what I've learned in my own experiences. So that you can take something that makes no sense and then make sense of it.
Yes, and that is what I
And that's
loved so much about your book was the way you did that. You know, it is a very powerful way of describing grief. And I think it is one of the most inspirational stories I have read in my whole life so far. And it touched me so much. But not just because you've lost your family, but the way you are trying to help other people through your experience. And that's also why I do Give Me Hope with Johanna, is to help people through my experiences, because losing a family, losing your entire family, it is the most difficult thing that you can go through. And if you know how to get through it by reading a little bit of this and a little bit of that from someone else's stories, and it can help you to move forward, I think that is the biggest gift you can give people, is what you and I do, is writing stories down and writing our feelings down and how we get through it. Because also 5 years later, I am a different person. You know, you can never ever be the same person you were from the day that you've lost those people. You are different, but you must always remember the
there,
people
there,
that's still there.
there is a purpose for our pain. There
I
has to
agree.
be. And I would give anything for one more hug,
Mm,
one more
me
kiss,
too. Yep.
one more. My youngest daughter Lily would give me. We used to call them duck lip kisses. She'd be like, and that's how she always gave me. I would give anything for one
Oh,
more duck lip kiss. Anything.
we always used to call it a
There's a
piggy kiss.
reason. Oh,
Also a piggy, and then I used to always pull up my nose, like a piggy, and kiss my mom like that, and my mom would say, "Hey, you piggy, come here, give me a piggy kiss." That was when I was very little. It just brought that up. I forgot about that.
those
Yeah.
that we lose never leave us. And for me, my wife comes to me as a butterfly because she had a butterfly tattoo on her chest. Chloe comes to me as a ladybug. That was her nickname. And it's so when we found out we were having a girl, I spent about 2 hours at this clothing store trying to find the best outfit for her. I looked at everything and I ended up picking out a little onesie that had ladybugs all over it. I didn't know that was going to end up being her nickname. That was the one. That was the one that I knew I was going to bring her home in. Well, when Constance was in labor, they originally had us in a different room, and then when it was getting close, they moved us into the main room. And when they wheeled us into the main room, we look up and there's a ladybug on the ceiling. So
Oh,
that's why Chloe became our ladybug. So
yeah.
that's how Chloe comes to me as a ladybug. And Lily comes to me as an owl.
Yes.
And
I see it behind you there, like the owl and the ladybug and the butterfly. It's beautiful.
so one day, I think now it's been about 6 years ago, we look outside and there's an owl on the telephone pole staring at us in the middle of the day. Now, I know that's not my daughter, but that's my daughter.
Yeah.
And that was when I really began to understand that while they physically might not be here, and while I'd give anything to be able to touch them, all I have to do is close my eyes and I can feel them.
Yeah.
And they've
Or
never
you
left
can
my
hear
side.
them. It's like you can just
Yeah.
always close your eyes and hear them. I still hear my sister's laugh, and I still hear my mom's call, and I still hear my dad's voice when we sang, and me and my twin sister, I still hear us saying happy birthday, and let's see who says happy birthday first, the next morning when it's our birthday. And for a few years now, I have had my birthday all by myself, and small little things like that is you still hear it all the time. It's um you'll never be able to not hear it or feel it, or you just need to learn to live with it. And the quicker you can learn to live with it and go through those times, like the death days, me also, I try to be positive all the time. And I try to say, this year I am going to go through this and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be stronger because I need to learn to get through this day as well. Let's try to do something that's going to make us happy. But you know what? Every time when that day comes, I can't do it. I still think of them. I still feel them and hear them. And I mean, if you think about it, 6 people, It is 12 days of the year that I have to feel like this. And I don't speak to my husband about it sometimes because I don't want him to think that I should be over it already. So I don't. And it's difficult, you have that days. And unfortunately, it's so sad to know that you have to have that day, one day for 3 people. My heart goes out to you. And I hope you feel that I really care about your story because it really touched me so much. And the way you speak about them, in your book, and how you explain everything about how they were, and her birthday gift, and what you guys did on Christmas, and all of those things, those are such beautiful memories that they give us in our lives. I accepted the fact that we all are going to die. And the quicker we learn to accept that we're all going to come and we're all going to die, the quicker you feel that I need to try to just be strong for myself, be strong for my kids, because God blessed me with more kids, and a husband that cares about me and things like that. But sometimes we don't always speak about it to our loved ones because they just don't understand how you feel. My husband also lost his dad before, but it's sometimes just difficult because I think everyone handles death a different way. I am a deep person. I handle it a different way myself, but trying to get over it, trying to move on. You know what? Someone mustn't tell me that you should get over this now. It's many years already for this or that person. You should be over it by now. You should never tell someone that. Never.
Let me
Because it is difficult,
let let
to.
let me help you. You will never move on. I will never move on. But together we have to move forward. There's a
That is the
difference.
difference. Oh, yes.
And you do not have to be better this year than you were last year because the pain is still the same. I cannot, when I tell you it's been 10 years since the wildfire, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud because in my head it happened 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
It is okay to cry. It is okay to miss them. It is okay to hurt. Don't keep it from the people closest to you. Tell them. They do understand. Tell them. You are never alone. And this is not me talking to your listeners. This is me talking to you. You are never alone in your grief. Ever. Because from this moment on, we are connected.
Yep,
And
definitely.
if you can look at me one day, and if you can say to me, Michael, I took a step forward, then all the pain that I've felt for the last 10 years is worth it because you're seeing the light again.
Well, let me tell you this. Since I've read your book, it does feel like I have stepped a step forward. So keep doing what you're doing because your book definitely made me think twice about what you just said about stepping forward. And
And
it does
there
make you
there is
stronger when you read stories like this, and that's why I love what I do, and now being the CEO and founder of my prestigious International Hope Book Awards, this is why I do it, because of people like you and people like me. We need to get our stories out because this is how other people survive. I survive by reading a story like yours, for instance. It makes me stronger to hear stories like this because I don't feel alone. And we can feel alone very quickly. I can feel alone just like that. If I sit here all of a sudden, I just feel overwhelmed. It happens like just like that. I am completely different, and I will start to cry, and I will feel so sorry for myself and put my kids because sometimes they fight, and I'm like, come sit here, let me have a talk with you. And I start to talk about my siblings, that I don't have them anymore, and we used to fight. I will give anything to fight with them again, and just to have them. This is why it is important that we need to listen to other people's stories. Oh, my
One
word.
thing that's one thing that's really, really important for you. You have to give yourself some grace. Those that we
Why?
have lost, they don't want you to be sad.
I know that.
And it's
I know
taken
that.
me a long time to understand this part. But where they are now is nothing but love and happiness and joy.
I agree. I agree.
And
And
it doesn't matter
this
if
is
you're
not sad
religious.
tears. This is not sad tears. It's actually just um it's like a relief, and
Oh,
speaking to
yeah,
someone who knows pain just like I do. And the way you impacted me with your story, Michael, um I think you can see that you impacted me, because these tears are not for me. It's for you also. And I know that it sounds silly maybe, but I do feel it. And because it happened to me as well, the loss, I know how you feel. And this is what makes this just so amazing to talk about, because we both are here, we are authors, and we have a story to tell. But a lot of people don't always want to hear our stories, especially not the people that knows us, because they know us and they know our story. And um, oh, she's advertising her book again, or she's talking about her story again. But it's not about you. It's not about me. It is about the people out there that feels like us, that needs to hear these
absolutely.
stories, that needs to also feel that my life is important and I need to live it to the fullest.
You are the reason that I went back to school because I graduate next year. But when I enrolled in school, I told my girls I'm going to get a 4.0 my entire college career. I'm going to graduate at the top of my class. And then I'm going to find some kind of a platform where I can tell my story and
Mm.
save as many people as I can in the time that I still have here.
Yes,
And
that
I'm
is
telling you
amazing.
today, the first time I feel like I might have saved somebody.
I
And
can't
you
wait to
don't
meet you.
know, I was I was so scared when I published the book because people are cruel.
People are cruel.
And you hear all of those voices tell you to move on. But nobody controls your life except for you.
Mm.
Those people that are telling you to move on don't matter in your grief. You know that you are enough.
Mm. I had to learn that a hard way as well, and I
Do you believe it?
I believe it. You know, I do this, and I'm putting myself out there, but it's because I know that I am enough. And someone told me once, I wrote my very first writing was actually a few songs, you know, that I started to write before I became an actual author. And it was after I gave my heart to Jesus. I could never sing for a long time after my dad passed away, because I constantly will hear his voice in my ear. When I try to get my note that I want to sing, then I cannot reach it, because I hear my dad's voice, and my voice breaks. And I have not sang since then. And I gave my heart to Jesus on 12th July 2006. And he basically he healed my heart so I could sing again. He like made my voice so clear that I could reach my notes again. If you have time, have you got a Google or a Alexa in your house?
Can I tell you something first?
Yeah.
Guess when our anniversary was?
July 12th? My
Yeah.
word. Wow. Well, that is the
We are
day.
all connected.
You see, God never sends anybody your way if there's not a reason for that person to make a difference in your life.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they can make a good difference in your life, sometimes not. But that is then when you need to learn from that relationship that you had with that person. Because every single person who comes your way, even if you just bump into someone and you have to like turn around and say, I'm sorry, you know, and you connect with your eyes, and that person goes, all good, you know, it just every single thing that happens in life, there's always a reason for it. I do believe in that. I do believe in that.
So if you believe that, could it be possible that the reason you are still here and they are all gone is because you were the only one that was strong enough to be able to make it through and to be able to make a difference? Because
You know
that's why
what?
you're here right
Um, I know this is me interviewing you today, but if I can tell you a little story, um, I've never told people this or my siblings this, because no one would like to hear this when they are alive and things like that. But my father was the very first person that I have lost. And I missed him terribly. I was crying a lot. And I was pregnant at the time with my first child and things like that. And he came to me in a dream and he said to me, Johanna, you need to be strong. I said, Daddy, I can't be strong. I cannot handle the fact that I have lost you. I do not know how to move forward. And he said to me, you are going to have to. He said, you are going to have to stand next to every single family member's grave one day. And you are going to have to be strong. You can do it. I didn't tell anybody about my dream. I woke up and I cried so much because I didn't know how I would be able to be the one who's going to stand by every single one's graves. Then I needed to tell someone, and I told my mom. And my mom said, I shouldn't think about it like that because it's just a dream, you know. But I can tell you, after my dad died, 3 years later, I lost my twin sister. And my dad's voice was in my ear. You have to be strong, you know. And 12 years after my twin sister, my mom died. And now I really couldn't tell anyone. Like after my twin sister died, I told my mom, it's starting, you know, daddy's dream is starting. And she said, no, I shouldn't think about it like that. That's not how dreams work. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it has a different message maybe that it wants to give you. But that dream, it carried me through absolutely everyone's death. And it was like, I know, even now, I know that I am going to grow old. And God is using me. He gave me a purpose. I asked him, what is my purpose? Why am I the last one? Why are you choosing me? And this is the reason why he's choosing me, is to listen to your story and to listen to other people's stories and to tell my story, because we need to have more believers. We need to bring people to Jesus. And not a lot of people wants to speak about God or Jesus. But there's no way to heaven if we don't go through Jesus. And that is why I do what I do. I love what I do. I've learned to really love what I do. And I love reading stories and hearing stories. And I ask God, give me a purpose, because I need to know what my purpose is. How do I know? How do one know what your purpose is? We don't really know what our purpose is if we don't learn to listen, to feel what God wants us to do. And me, if I do something, I do it with my whole heart. And I do it with all the power and energy that I have in me every morning when I get up, to try to do what God wants me to do. And starting this new business now, where I will elevate authors who write stories of hope. I cannot wait to have my first awards to honor these authors who wrote their stories and who were so great. I don't know how to say this English word, but courageous and strong. Courage. They had courage to write down their story. I honor you. It's amazing to read all these stories. I can't wait to meet you.
When we get done, I want you to go to the closest mirror that you've got in your house. And I want you to say to yourself what you just said to me. Because you are the one that is courageous. Today, you're my hero. Because you've reminded me that I'm not alone.
Yeah, we are not alone.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a little bit of breaking news. The one amazing thing about the book is that it has reached people all over the world. And one of the biggest things, and I think you can relate to this too, is I have never felt a sense of peace since my loss. Um, I don't know if I'll ever feel peace in my life, but knowing that there's somebody on the other side of the world that has read my words and
Mm.
it's given them peace gives me hope that maybe one day I'll have peace too. And the book wasn't enough. It kind of it blossomed from there. I just February 1st, I published my first children's book about loss. Um, and it's called The Owl and the Ladybug because that's how the girls come to
I
me.
saw that. I
Um,
saw that on Facebook. Congratulations.
and it's just a little story about a ladybug that's sad because she lost her grandma and she doesn't understand her feelings. Um, and she meets an owl that lets her share those feelings. And then the second half of the book is an interactive workbook that kids can do. How do you feel today? And they can draw how they feel. Um, you know, draw a picture of the person that you miss.
Mm.
Um, so it's kind of it's part book and it's part workbook. Um,
That is very nice
because
for children who has lost
yeah,
someone, and the parent wants to give them something because they don't know how to handle their child, and the grief
yeah.
they're going through. So that looks like a really nice book to give to a child that is grieving.
And then, I had no intention of writing another book after the Million Stages of Grief. Um, but back in 2023, when I had my breakdown, and I enrolled in college, I also agreed to finally get into some really hard therapy. And I've been in EMDR therapy for 2 years. And that therapy has changed my life. Um, so, April 1st last year is when I released The Million Stages of Grief. And I have to tell you, I did it on April 1st for a reason. In the United States, that's April Fool's Day. And
Yeah.
I used to prank my wife every year. And I'm talking, I would prank her good. I would spend weeks planning it. And I would get her every year. And oh my gosh, it was great. So I purposefully released the book last year on April Fool's Day just as a nod to her. So this year on April Fool's Day, I'm releasing my next book, and it's called The Million Stages of Healing.
Wow.
And it continues the story. Um, we weren't meant to be born to suffer
Mm.
and then die. The first book is if you're in the grief.
Mm.
The new book is what you do after that. And
Yeah.
I think we both are in that place now where,
Yes.
okay, we've carried this burden for so long. Now, what do we do with it?
We can do it. We can move forward,
Yeah.
and we can help other people move forward. Just like me, I also didn't intend to write another book after I wrote my very first book, Life Think Again, where I tell the story of how I lost my entire family. I didn't think I was going to write another book. since I released that book in 2024 May, I've written 5 books.
Wow.
And then I was realizing, I feel so much better, and realizing that I was wearing this mask covering up my feelings and the way I have to be able to move forward. I cannot move forward if I keep on carrying everything inside me. It's time to reveal myself. Like you said earlier, go look in the mirror and go see this beautiful person that's looking back at you. Get up, write your story down and come talk to me about it, and you're going to just live a little bit longer, because hope is something that we shouldn't lose. I will put all your links of your books down in the description. After this video is published, I will put everything down. And even your new book, we will put all that down. If you want to read about Michael, then you just click on those buttons there. Anything you want to tell the viewers, Michael?
Yep, the easiest way to access my story is my website. It's themillionstages.com. There's resources on there if you're going through grief. There's hotlines you can call if you're struggling. There's more information about my story. But I think the one message that I really want everyone to know is whatever stage you're in right now in your own grief, there's nothing wrong with that. Today you are okay. I know it hurts. I know it's hard. I have lived over 9 years without the loves of my life. But I still feel them with me. And if you're hurting today and you're lost and you're confused, it's okay to feel those things today. But tomorrow the sun is going to rise, and the sun is going to rise just for you. And that sunrise is the person that you lost reminding you that there is still life in front of you. And when you see that sunrise tomorrow, it's okay to smile.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate you being on my podcast, Michael, and I hope to see you one day and meet you, and we're going to have a great celebration.
It was an honor to talk to you today, and thank you for the platform, and thank you for what you do. Because without you, I wouldn't be able to tell my story. So thank you.
You are very welcome. Well, that was Michael Reed. And I'm sure you could have noticed that his story really touched me today. And if you have a story, please reach out. Come tell it on my platform. Share this video. And let's get everyone to feel better through listening to stories like this. I am Johanna Vendel, and this is Give Me Hope with Johanna. Till next time, goodbye.
You need to hear this. If you've ever felt like grief stole your future, meet Johanna. She built it back, stronger. Johanna lost everything and thought the story ended there. Instead, she learned grief has chapters, not a full stop. She started small. One morning routine, one conversation, one meal shared. Slowly, those tiny acts became a lifeline. New friendships, a purpose, even a business that feeds others and herself. This isn't a miracle. It's the quiet work of showing up when it hurts the most. If you're in the wreckage now, know this. Rebuilding isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing a future, piece by piece. Hit subscribe to help Johanna share more stories of survival and steps you can try tomorrow.